O'clock. Good evening, everyone. This evening's meeting, we're going to be reviewing our current expenditures, reviewing proposed inspection fees. Then we have some old and new business and a non-public session on tax deeded property. So before we start, let's please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
One of the things that I think everybody should be aware of, it appears right now that most of our road paving projects have been completed. So Binney Hill Road has been rebuilt. The lower part of Ashby Road has been top coated. That was binded last year. And we've got Hubbard Pond Road paved. Any other opening comments? Good. Expenditures. I know we got this afternoon, but if we can just take a few minutes to review it. I have not had time, but just take a look where we are to date. Well, looking at the quick review, seeing that we should be with a percentage complete of around 33% since we're 2/3 of the way through our fiscal year. Overall, I think we're at 36%. There's only 2 or 3 that I'm looking at that I think we're going to have to keep an eye on, and one is the legal budget, which we're now slightly over on. The transfer station seems to be running ahead, but that may be due to items already haven't been removed, but
Yeah, it's the removal of some of the recyclable materials,
yeah, but
because there's not much of a market for those anymore.
But for example, the paper removal, we had a budget of 6,500 and we're at 9630, and we will still have another ways to go.
20 days to go.
Yep. Why, I'm just looking, he bought trash bags and we didn't have any, I thought last year during the budget, he had purchased them,
I thought he had purchased them last year.
yeah.
Right. Yeah, that was supposed to be a stockpile.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a big ticket item. I know we're supposed to be looking at our fees this evening on the building side, but I think we need to begin looking at our fees that we're charging down at the transfer station, because I,
Yep, in fact, Peter and I are meeting at 10 o'clock tomorrow
okay.
to discuss that.
Okay.
Because I think our money that we're bringing in on the demo is costing us yet to get rid of it, even though we're supposed to be
Break even,
offsetting it, yeah.
Yeah. The other one I had start, I think, was the DPW. They're running right now, just at 30%, but I think, one of the issues we're gonna have is the, vehicle maintenance. We're already 26,000
Yeah.
over budget. And we're still not done with the year, so.
Yeah.
No, that's, likely to grow
I'm assuming that doesn't include the costs.
of the grader.
Did that pick up? Because that was in the, I thought the cost for the block for the grader was in last week's manifest, but not the labor to do the work.
I'm not 100% sure on that. I don't think.
Isn't that the one that netted out to 8,000 something?
It did after the trade-in.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I thought that was in the manifest.
Yeah, I don't know if that would have happened that fast. I don't recall
Okay.
seeing an invoice. I saw the proposal.
Oh, maybe that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so if you factor that in, plus other miscellaneous for the rest of the year, I can see this number going up, maybe another $12,000 before the year is out.
Yeah.
It's been a very bad year for maintenance on those vehicles, for sure.
Well, I think we've got some budget line items that can help offset it, but I want Peter especially to be cognizant of due diligence on the maintenance and tender loving care of the equipment to keep it in its top performing. And what are you and Peter gonna be addressing tomorrow?
Well, I asked him a while back, as I asked Rick Donovan to take a look at the fees, to make sure that we were adequately covering our costs and being reasonable. And, the building inspector, his fees haven't changed for 3 years. And it was time to revise those, so those did, you'll see the proposal, they ticked up a bit. And in rough estimates, because we never know how many permits or what type of permits we're gonna process, but I tried to do some quick calculations today, that the proposed changes would probably add $4,000 to $5,000 a year to revenue over the current year.
Yeah.
So not a huge increase, but something to at least keep up with inflation and some of the costs. We have the new building software as well, so that, we want to be able to offset those costs to some extent.
We were gonna look at that just as a
Right,
topic, right, later on?
correct, yep.
Okay, but I mean specifically with Peter on the transfer station, are you looking to find alternative resources, or is it more of looking at the fees?
Well, I wanna look at the fee structure, and then I think that will probably lead to a discussion about, you know, where we're disposing of items as we take them out of the transfer station. You know, he and I did talk informally, probably 2 to 3 weeks ago, about who we're using for trash haulers,
Mm-hmm.
and starting to see if it makes sense to be creative there or look for different vendors.
Well, typically we have put it out to bid.
Right, and he said the last time, he thought he only got one proposal back.
Yeah, we sent out, and
Yeah,
we even asked him to reach out to specifically a couple people just to get some sort of
Yeah.
answer. But yeah, he said, you know, I remember that we weren't getting responses back because they were basically saying, look, they're having a hard enough time just getting rid of it themselves to take on another client.
right, and that's a problem for the whole state.
Mhm.
You know, the state is, definitely has an issue there.
I think
And,
though, if
you know, I kinda went down the list of, you know, the vendors that I knew that were out there, and he said they all had declined last time. And again, I think it's because they don't have a facility that they feel is close enough to make it,
I don't think
competitive.
that's the case.
Yeah.
Because we've had other vendors here in the past without an issue. I think it's more of how they're being broached to submit a proposal. You know, I think the call's gotta be made to the right people that do that work, rather than
Yeah, like
email or
actively seek it
whatever.
out.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, and I don't think that's been done.
Okay.
Matter of fact, if you could check on, when our contract is up with, Shaw, just so we can keep that in the forefront.
Yep.
You guys have any comments on the budget?
No, I mean, it's not where, I mean, like I said, we have some areas we can pull from as we need to, and I'm not gonna nitpick line items at this point until we get to the budget season and we ask questions. Most of it is, like I said, it is what it is. And I was looking around, there's definitely some areas we can pull from if we need to help cover.
Yeah, I have a look at it deeper later.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I included the revenue report in there that I sent you
Yeah.
as well, but it's of marginal use as it stands right now.
Proposed inspection fees is the next item.
I guess my first question, Scott, is did Rick give you comparisons with what the other municipalities have for rates and the rationale for certain fees being increased and not others?
We have not had a discussion, line item by line item on that. He was basing this over some of the same work he was doing for Ringe.
Mm-hmm.
So he was taking a look at what the costs of delivering these services were and making adjustments. And, you know, there are a few that went up fairly significantly, but most of them are pretty minor increases. And again, I think it's just a way to reflect the true cost of delivering the inspection services. And, you know, overall impact, again, estimating, because we never know how many permits or what mix of permit types we're going to get in a given year. But trying to extrapolate based on our 2019 volume, we don't have a complete picture for 2020 yet. Some permits seem to be tracking ahead, some are tracking below as far as quantity. But I'm estimating about $4,000 to $5,000 in additional revenue based on the mix we did in 2019.
I want to ask everyone here what their thought is on because in my mind, when I look at what we charge for the fees and the revenue that comes in is far greater than what our expenses have been. And that's because we don't put all of our expenses into there. For example, the land use clerk.
Right.
And I think for this coming budget season, somehow, if we're gonna be trying to make our revenues balance to our expenses, we need to make them line up. Because right now,
Incorporate like
for
similar.
like Lori's work, and I'm gonna say was probably 75%, 60% permitting.
Right.
You know, taking in applications, getting stuff ready for Rick, all of that.
Mhm.
That position is under the Board of Selectmen's office. Okay? But we have a separate line item for inspectional services, which is where Rick is.
Yeah.
So all of the revenue that comes in is recognized as inspections and most services, but the costs aren't there, they're somewhere else.
Mhm.
And I'd really like to be able to look at that while looking at these proposed fee increases.
Yep.
Make sense?
Yeah, no, it completely makes sense, because like you said, if we're adding 4,000 to 5,000, because then I also look at it as then it's a lot easier to justify raises
Mm-hmm.
when you're tabulating it to the right area. If you go, well, administration support compared to permitting,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, if you're spending 60% of your time on permitting, and permitting is bringing in all these applications and all this revenue, then yeah, we should be able to spend money to give that person the money they deserve and the
Or
position they deserve.
just to cover
Just to
their,
cover
their rate,
yeah,
you
right.
know?
But when we sit there and we plug them into the exact same thing as everybody else in the office, it makes it very difficult to justify that when they're doing the same jobs.
Yep.
So, no,
Yeah,
I
clearly, you know, the permits are a big part of what land use in general does
Right.
for activity, no question about it.
yeah, so like David said, even if we can go, okay, 60% of that salary, or however we want to figure it out, should be broken out and charged to that. I mean, it's not going to change the bottom line of the budget, but it will at least put it in the right department.
And the reason why I would advocate for that is because like now when I look at proposed fee increases, well, my first reaction was, well, no, we don't need to increase them, we just increased them, you know, you say 3 years ago, and that's, you know, just a very short period.
Yeah.
And so, the other half of me though says, well, wait a minute though, what are my true costs? You know, so.
And we gave raises to those people last year based on the fact that they were doing more work primarily for the land portion of it. So it does make complete sense to be able to look at that and break it out, and because that was the other piece is last year we gave raises, and when we sit here on the night that on the budget hearing night,
Yeah,
people are asking us, well, why did the selectmen's budget, town office budget go up X amount? And you're like, well, we gave raises because the land office is, well, it would make a lot more sense to go, well, it was actually, they're bringing in more
Yeah.
revenue, so it makes sense, they're bringing in more revenue because they're busier, we need to pay the person what they're worth in doing that work.
Should be shown in the same area.
Right. It would be much easier to answer to the questions that are coming from the voters on that.
yeah. The only part that I was kind of vacillating with is I don't wanna start taking numerous positions and
No,
fragmenting the salary or the line item that we lose track of it,
Mhm.
you know, but.
Yeah, so you're saying like if we're gonna take position, just put the whole thing like in that area instead of trying to like go
what was going
like the
through my
60,
mind was,
70.
let's say we had 30 hours a week allocated to that position,
Mhm.
okay? Well, under the Board of Selectmen's office, which is where all the salaries go, is maybe allocate 10 hours and put 20 hours under the building inspection
Yeah.
budget.
but still figure the salary as a whole and then break it out into the two chunks. Or
Yeah,
only when we sit here and we try to, decide how to build the budget.
Yeah. follow?
Sorry, like I said,
No,
just,
you have that
just
look,
flew into
so
town. Yeah,
I don't
So I'm
wanna,
like trying to switch gears and like
Yeah.
get into this mode. No,
full steam ahead.
I know it's full steam.
Yeah. It's gonna hit you before you know it.
So can we take the week, just,
No, just question, all the reds are ones that are being adjusted?
Right. Yep. And if you go beyond the blue divider, that's right behind that one is the old one, so if you wanna do
yeah.
Okay.
a line item by line item comparison to see what the increases were.
Perfect.
Trying to do that last night on a split screen, and it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah, I tried that, and I just ended up printing them out and
I
putting
got
them
two
side
little
by side
Adobe
and turning page at a
PDFs,
time
yeah.
with each other so I could see the changes, it was easier.
Glad I got my shed permit in there.
Oh, so I just was in a Home Depot, fully racked, pressure treated lumber as far as
Depends on
I
what's-
could see.
Depends on what size it, that, it all depends on
I
if you
told
want
you,
your
tell
board.
me
All
what you
depends on
need.
if you want your board to go this way or this way.
So the information
What's
in
wrong
the
with a
next,
little hook?
Yeah.
the next 3 tabs, I just left in there from last week.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because we're gonna be coming back to those things again,
Yep.
yeah,
and I didn't wanna have to kill more trees by printing them all out again,
Yep.
so.
I got
just-
some in my yard if you wanna kill them, just come on down.
And,
Any new update on that tower agreement?
no, so I did get some input, from Primex on that, because I asked them to look at the indemnification clauses and things like that. I just haven't had a chance to review it and match it up to the contract to see if there was anything else that they wanted to tweak.
Okay. I left Scott a message the other day, but he said he didn't get it. I can't believe that.
Yeah, I honestly didn't get it. I went through all my voicemails.
I did reach out to Paul Hausman at Eversource on Friday. He said he's been pleased with Affinity. He thinks that the pricing is in line. he was gonna be forwarding this past Monday, but Scott said he didn't receive anything, so, you can either reach out to him or I'll
Yeah,
reach out.
I'll reach
He
out.
was gonna try and get us an additional 25% credit or whatever. And I guess it's in a different program, but it was a different person that handled that. He said when they come back from vacation on Monday, he was gonna try and get that, so. At this point, and he was supposed to also be forwarding the rebate form that we
Okay,
would need to fill out and send
Yep.
back into him, but pending that, I think we've had this one on the back burner. I'd entertain a motion if we should go ahead and award that.
Yeah, I make a motion to award Affinity the LED street lighting RFP.
Is there a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You know, one thing I wanna make sure, Scott, is, I think when they sent us, did you give them what color index to have on that street lighting?
I think, let me see. Let's go back. Yeah, I think we were gonna go more with the soft tone rather than the stark.
Yeah? I just wanna
And
make
and
sure
that's what
that we,
I think that's what they recommended.
did they? Okay,
Yeah, that's what they
Okay.
recommended, although they said some communities did a mix, depending on location, of the brighter white lights.
it looks like on this one data sheet, they do have it at the 3,000, so as long as they're sticking with that.
Yeah, I think it
Oh,
was-
this is the one I saw, that's what raises my question, is one of them has the various, temperatures, so if we could make sure we're sticking with the 3,000,
yeah, 3,000 code.
yeah.
Yep. They gave us a sample of the two different types of heads. I don't know if that would change the price. They had the S900D and the P900D series. Honestly, I think the ones they proposed, the S900 looks more attractive, but that's strictly subjective.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the S900 's a little,
A little more streamlined.
yeah, a little stream, yeah, not as. P900D looks like something, like pieces fell off of it.
Yeah, it does look like it's.
They
This
did,
is
they're
not
right
fully
below it,
assembled.
don't
I
you
know,
see it?
yeah, they are just scattered about the bottom of the page.
Uh, And I'm assuming they're gonna go with a, color that matches the, arms that we have in place now.
Right, and I think that's either the gray or the silver.
And I agree, the S900 has a 10-year warranty versus the 5 on the P900, so.
Yeah, it was the S900 that was a part of the bid, right?
That's
Yeah.
what they
Yeah,
did.
yeah.
Yeah, we asked them for an alternative, just to see what they had. And that's why they sent over the data sheet of, after looking at it, I think the S900 is a more attractive fixture.
Now, was there one more meeting you were having with them before they, wasn't there like a pre-meeting and they'll look at the, areas where
I can certainly
might be
do that
needed?
with them.
I thought there was something you had in the RFP about that, but,
So that was a pre-bid meeting. So
no, I'm
they-
thinking of something after,
Okay,
Or
yeah,
maybe they may have even had it
yeah,
in their write-up that
Yeah.
they meet
yeah,
ahead of
we
time.
can certainly make that happen.
Because other than the one at Page Hill at the corner, was there any other place you can recall where we thought we need, was there a pole at Davis and Ashby?
Yeah, there's one at Davis, there's a pole there already,
Okay.
but the light's gone.
Yeah,
But we needed to put one, there's no light across from the fire station. That's where we were, I don't know, I think there's a pole there, but there's no light.
yeah.
But I can't remember anywhere where we needed to, off the top of my head, I can't remember where we needed to add a pole.
Well, there was the one at the sharp bend on Page Hill,
Okay.
and the pole was,
Oh, yeah, it's kind of tucked back almost in
yeah, we
someone's.
didn't know
yeah.
whether, yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of, yeah, it was aimed pretty far back, and if they
Yeah.
tipped the light up, it would be shining out towards someone's
Yeah.
house, I think, yeah. Because, yeah, there was none, yeah, it shoots back almost into someone's driveway.
But if they could look at it with, maybe adding a shield if they can
Yeah.
get the throw out there, but.
Yeah, okay.
That's it, right? Police
Yeah.
station.
So, I would like to address Selectman Talbot's comments in the paper today. Just a little curious.
Yeah.
Did you make it to any of our information sessions when we had them here and when we had them at the school?
No.
Okay. Did you?
Well, I did at the school, and I did see that. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just curious at what point we didn't explain how it was going to be funded, start to finish costs, how it was going to be funded, the design, and everything, since we presented a floor plan, a position. We
No, I
explained
just
how it
was
was
saying
going to be paid for. We even had a breakdown, and this breakdown's actually a worse, because when we put this information together, that was the current bond rate. When the new bond rates came in, they were 0.5 point less than this. So I was just kind of curious at what point the selectmen, and this goes all the way back to Selectman Hopkins,
hmm
didn't explain how it was going to be paid for.
So it wasn't. Some people didn't grasp it somehow. So it was just more of a statement that it was going to be. I wasn't stating that it hadn't been explained to some degree. I didn't see the write up.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
if I
I
can
saw
make-
some comments
yeah.
on Facebook.
If I can make a recommendation to you,
Yeah.
don't ever comment to the newspaper verbally.
Okay.
I did it once, I don't do it ever again.
Yeah.
Type it out so that when they misquote you, you can have it, no, that's not what I sent you.
Okay.
Because we were very clear on how it was going to be paid for from
Is
the,
that a printout of the article?
yeah,
All right.
and I highlighted the parts I had questions on.
Okay.
But I mean, it's right in this, which went to everybody's house. It
Okay.
explains exactly how it was going to be paid for,
hmm
even what the tax impact was, and that the tax impact initially, the 27 cents was year one, and it's a 10-year, and it goes down. So it starts at 27 and decreases down, and everyone that came to the informational session at the high school understood that. We had great support with everyone that was at the high school that showed up. And the problem is we have, say, a quarter of the town to a third maybe that is very supportive and understood, and then you have a group that no matter what we do, they vote no,
Yeah.
just down the board.
Yeah.
Then we have that group
Which
that,
I'm seeing.
that doesn't
Yeah.
want a police department. They think we're fine, we'll police ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the ones that feel that we are spending too much money across the board. But looking at, I've got this is the last one I had, so it's a 6-month tax bill. The municipal rate, so for the town, was $1.93, and the school was $7.53.
Yeah.
So if you looked at that, that would have gone up from $1.93 to $2.06.
Yeah.
That would have been the increase per $1,000.
All right.
On a half-year bill, because
Yeah.
it's 27 cents. So they would have been paying 13 cents per $1,000 to get a police station bill.
Yeah.
So I just wanted you to know, we spent a lot of time and we spent money on the mailing, we spent time at the presentation over and over again. We put it out on Facebook, the chief had his stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that people may not understand what we presented, but if they don't understand, it's because they didn't come and ask the questions. We gave multiple opportunities for people, and we put out so much information that it was, from my point of view, a little disheartening to read the article and kind of be blindsided that you felt that the prior select boards had not done our due diligence in putting that out there, because I really felt that we did a lot, and
Yeah.
we were just shot down by, we had to get a major majority, and it was a little disheartening to read that, especially when we spent so much money and the information's right in the middle of the page.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah.
Okay, so I just,
Well, and that's like comments. I don't know, on the way coming into town, I got to scroll through 100 comments on something like someone had posted that there was an article. It amazes me at like how fast this stuff like makes it like into the paper, and without, I don't know if it's research or follow up on things, because that was like one 5-minute phone call yesterday afternoon.
But it was a comment that was made? And then that's
Well, I
how
haven't had a
things get on
chance to
social
like.
media.
Yeah.
Well, no. So I got to read. I didn't read the article, but I got to read the comment thread of like all the comments that were being made, and a lot of it was like what you had said. But the bigger point that I made was just you have to be hiding under a rock, like at the end of like this whole thing, like when a plan's presented, not to be able to come and say at the end, I had no clue this was going on. Like I just want to try to make it bigger, more out there, like try to get to everybody so that it's impossible. Like it's almost a virtual impossibility that someone can say, I didn't understand something, I didn't know what was going on. You have to be hiding under a rock, like in order like for that to happen. So I don't know, like I get different input and feedback from people, and all I would like to do is just get it done. Like it's not about the past, it's about the future, and just the community feeling like all of their concerns are heard. And some of the comments on the Facebook thread, making the statements that like everything seems fine the way that it is, and somehow we come up with this disaster scenario every couple of years, and it's like it's been a disaster scenario for
12 years.
12 years. So it's not going away until we address it.
yeah. And
So
and
and
my
it's
other-
not fine.
And
it's
then my
just-
only other comment is that, don't, because what happened with us last year is we did a lot of planning, a lot of work, and we had this done and everything else. And all of a sudden, we took so long to plan that we missed the cutoff by less than 12 hours on submitting to have our meeting for the bond hearing.
Yeah,
And so if we want to get this for March, you basically have 5 months. You know?
yeah,
But what I wanted to address, I didn't get to read the article in the paper.
yeah,
I'd seen that 8.5 by 11, but the way
That's-
it was photocopied and the sequence of reading it, I couldn't follow. But the one thing that I did read in there, it's only in one paragraph, was that, not on
Oh,
there.
this?
That,
okay,
was that you're starting from ground zero, we're starting all over.
well, no, it's not from ground zero, it's
I'm
just, yeah,
Sean,
yeah,
just listen
yeah.
to me, please.
okay, alright,
Okay, that's what the article says.
Yeah.
Okay, so when I read it and I look at our notes from last week,
mhm,
was you were gonna bring in volunteers, resources to put together a committee, to advocate, to educate, to explain, even beyond the parameters of the town office personnel and elected officials, to help with that. And that's what I wanna make sure, that's the message we're trying to communicate, not let's start all over again.
well, I didn't, so it's not so much starting all over again, but looking at like this, cause this, you know, like a lot of work was put into this plan, but then if this doesn't have support, like what are the other options available, like to, or like what are some other thoughts and ideas that
Alright,
people
let's
have?
go back.
Yeah,
We sent out mailers, we did, to find out what people want,
yeah,
okay? Were you there at the session when we explained the results of that? I don't recall, so don't,
yeah, no, I
okay.
don't,
We
yeah, I
had
don't
the
recall
the
the
meeting at the
exact
high
results,
school. What had
yeah.
happened was after the vote, when that option got shot down, just stepping back, that building here was the first option. It got shot down.
This building,
Yeah.
That
probably-
building
probably
on
4
here,
years
just a
ago.
police
Okay,
station.
yeah.
A little
got
over
shot
4
down.
years ago.
yeah,
Then we went, that's when that building there went on the market. We said, okay, let's look and see what we can do to make that work.
yeah,
That one got shot down, so we said, we gotta find out, what is it that the people want? So we gave them a simple 3-question postcard, fill in the blank, and I was pleasantly surprised at the amount of feedback we got back. We got responses back, whereas I'm thinking, we'll get 10. We got hundreds. The gist of it is, they wanted it to be on property we currently have, meaning here. And they wanted to see that if in the future we needed to make a safety complex, meaning bring the fire station here, we could fit it there, that it was being planned
to have
for.
flexibility,
Correct. And that's why that flyer went out
Yeah.
with the results to
Yeah,
say,
as a result.
this is how, I think it's either the green or the yellow,
Yeah,
one or
the
the
green.
other is a future
Yeah, the green is future.
yeah,
that it would work. We had the layout, because what people had told us when we had presented this option the first time, they didn't understand that the cost for demoing this building, for having to redo the entranceway, putting in a new entry exit, relocating the utility pole, that those types of costs were in there. They looked at it and said, you know, that's an expensive house you're building. You know, we're saying, you gotta look at it, big picture of what the scope is. So they said, we didn't understand that.
yeah,
So that's why we've tried to give them all the information we could possibly give to them, so that they understood what we're asking.
Because, and the actual floor plan for the new building is in the selectman's office.
yeah,
It's, you know, it has the breakout, the floor plan, where everything is in the building, to the point of it's even got a meeting room that can be, it has its own entrance. So it'd be a secondary meeting room for the public, whether it be a public meeting room, training sessions, when they have training sessions that include the police, fire, and ambulance all together. It's got all those sorts of things built in so that we could explain to them, look, we're not going to just put a building there and go, you can never come in.
Yeah.
You know, we're trying to make it so that if the police want to do some sort of training for the public or CPR training, or we've got an additional piece of space that's available, but also specialized. It's safe from, like, you're not going to walk in to the police station and you're 2 feet from where they're booking a criminal, and because they're coming in the same door that you're in.
Yeah.
Because, so that was also a fear of mine, is that, I mean, I got the same gist that David did, is that it was let's start at ground zero and to try to replan a whole building and make, and that's why we brought in the construction people that night to see what their thoughts were. And most of them actually expected us to want a better building. But we told them, look, we're not looking for a Taj Mahal. We're not looking for, I mean, yeah, you go to most towns and yeah, it's a 2-story brick building.
Yeah.
We can't afford a 2-story brick building. So we've proposed this building as the one that is the most cost efficient, that will get the police what they need, not what they want, or not, well, down the road when we have, 12 officers. No, this is gonna get us by now.
Yeah.
And so to try to, reinvent the wheel at this point, you wouldn't be ready by March, only because the plan we have, I think, took them
I mean, yeah.
a couple of years to.
Well, I think this is a good plan, but I'm trying to figure out why, like, and what we're missing, like why we can't get support, like just to go.
And that's what we
forward,
talked about last week, and that's what I
Yeah.
thought you said you were going to take the charge.
Yeah.
You were going to get a group of people that were advocates for this to help get this message across.
Yeah.
Because we try and do it here from a selectman's point with mailers, with group meetings, with presentations at the police station, via social media. And you were saying, well, maybe I can get a committee to go out and help advocate for it. We
And,
said,
and
well,
pull in
there's a
other
good-
people that have
Exactly.
been naysayers, like
Yeah.
yeah.
Or if
and
somebody
that's
has
it.
a question to say, hey, how is it going to be funded? Well,
But I have to understand like why this didn't work, like why this isn't resonating with people, and that's why like you have to be open to that discussion as well. Like to not go completely backwards, but still like find out like do people care if the police are put into trailers or not? Like what is the, because that's what we're up against
Right, and
now,
and that came out in the last discussion. And the thing is some of those towns with some simple, I mean, talking 10 minutes worth of Googling, someone's like, well, look at, is it Ashby, the police that they're in the trailer?
oh, it is.
Is it
I
Ashby
think
or
it's
Ashburnham?
Ashby.
Ashby.
Trailers for.
Yeah, for years. So someone said, well, look at the Ashby police, they're in a trailer. So a quick Google, the prior year they had voted not to build a police station, but to start a committee to research building a police station. And that committee was over twice as much as what we wanted to spend to build a police station. Because normally that committee, when they do a thing like that, I think David, you said it's like a quarter. I mean, it's like take that and multiply it by 5, I think, and that's what your actual cost to your police station is going to be.
I'm just saying, and we shouldn't even, I'm not even
Yeah.
going down this.
Yeah.
You don't compare Massachusetts and New Hampshire. Okay,
No,
you just
yeah,
don't.
Yeah.
Especially when you're looking at New Ipswich to,
Well, to me, it's not viable. Like it's like a no go.
Yeah,
we're
but-
talking, a police station in Massachusetts, a small, I did a little one for Hudson. You're talking
$8.5 million.
Yeah.
We're not looking for that. We just need a police station to fit
But
our
I-
offices.
No,
So-
I agree
so
with
I
you.
guess it's like some of the comments that were pulled out from it was just that feel like I want it to be, I guess, a start of the discussion from Grant. Like this is I like this plan. Like I love this plan, but I just want to work back a little bit, like just to get it like out from a certain segment of people, like just to try to expunge what their
But
negative feelings are.
Sean, I'm getting a sense, I'm gonna ask you the question if my sense is correct or not.
Yeah.
Do you fully understand the program for the police station?
What do you mean?
Have you looked at the plans? You understand the spaces that the chief needs, how it's laid out?
No, I haven't had a chance to
Okay.
pull all that.
That's what
out yet,
I'm
yeah.
thinking before you get a group of people together,
Hmm.
that you try and get up to speed on it, because trying to bring others in and educating them if you don't know what it is yet
Yep.
is going to be more detrimental, I'm going to suspect.
Which I started talking to Tim last week, like after the meeting, and he wasn't comfortable with officially like being a part of the conversation because we didn't vote on this, which I didn't understand why you'd need to like what you'd need to vote on exactly, like to have a committee, but he said he would like help as a resource, but I kind of wanted him to be a part of the active discussion, you know, be able to come to a meeting, like when we have the meetings, and you know, speak with people and advocate for it. So it's kind of hard not to have him there, or even one of you guys like there too, because you worked on this like ahead of time, but then coming at it from a different point of like be able to hear like some of the negative comments too, and like, you know, work on like addressing those.
Like I said, most of the negative comments I got again are from a segment
Mm-hmm.
of town that is either the spend nothing or get rid of the police department. But because you have to have a major majority on this to use the to take on a bond and to use the
Fund balance.
the fund balance, you know, they're also the ones that will motivate their voters.
Yep.
Because they basically give them a list and go, here, go vote.
Yep.
And they give them a piece of paper, and that's what's on it, and you go vote what's on the piece of paper.
Yep.
And they will come out in force and vote that way. And the other people think, well, this is a done deal. I mean, you got to be, like you said, you'd have to be under a rock not to realize that this is what we need and this is the right thing to do for the town and for the police department and for the future of New Ipswich. Well, I'm a little busy. I had to work late. I'm not going to get there, but they'll be fine.
Yeah.
It's going to get through. No, we need every one of those people that understands that to also be at the polls. So what we need is those advocates that you can find. And you may have to figure out, okay, you're going to have your advocates, but then, yeah, you have to go find the devil's advocate on the other side and go, please come to the meeting and explain, you know, and we could probably give you 4 names
Yeah.
and say, why not? Give me your why nots and let me answer your whys.
Yeah. Yeah, I'll take those 4.
Yeah,
Yeah, or however many.
right.
You know, that's what I want is like the most, you know, against, and to have the conversation with the people that are the most against it to find out why, like
Mhm.
exactly why, because not having a police station, it's just not in the cards.
Yeah. And like, you know, like the chief said last week, not having a police department, it's going to be tough no matter what we pay to
Yeah.
have an officer come in and you know, oh yeah, come over into this building that has 1 entrance,
Yeah.
you know.
And if you need help getting on board with this, understanding it, let me know,
All right.
okay?
Yep.
But I'd
No, I
rather
do.
know
I was lucky enough that when I came on, Jay was a selectman, and Jay was on the police department committee when they helped design when they came up with this design.
No.
Okay. No.
He was. I thought he was on it.
He was on the board.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's what
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
Was he the liaison to that board? That committee? No. But he helped explain a lot to me because when I
Yeah.
had questions, I'm like,
Yeah.
I
And
asked
what
him
we
about
tried
it.
to do is when people were asking questions, those were really what developed the flyer. We're trying, okay, they asked, they don't know. Let's
Yeah.
somehow fit it in.
And that's
on the
really it.
flyer.
Like all those numbers are questions that people had. And if this question came up, this was the answer.
Yeah.
This question came up, here was the answer.
Yeah, and you know, like after the flyer was sent out, I had a few friends that messaged me, and like the exact term was like, "What is this horse shit?" And I'm like, "What are you talking about? Like, what do you mean?" Like, so I had to have the conversation with them about the necessity, like for the police department, like all the negative aspects of what we're doing to our police, like right now, and maybe turned them a little bit, but I'm hoping to have them at the meeting as well, like just to like continue on, because when I read through this, it seems like plenty of information to me, you know, like to feel good about it. I can't remember, like it's probably 2 warrant articles ago. I wasn't a fan of how the warrant article was written myself, but yeah, I don't know. That's why, like, in order to go forward, sometimes you have to take a step back, and that's all I was trying to do. Like, was take that step back, incorporate more people into the discussion, and come up with a broader base that's going to come to the polls to get the police station done.
Yeah. And a lot of times the warrant articles is how we're told we have to write them. And the one that you're probably talking about is it's because it had 2 parts in it. One was to use fund balance, and a second part of that same warrant article was to draw a bond.
Mm-hmm.
So it was all in the same thing, because if one passed and the other didn't, we still couldn't proceed with the police station. So it was all in. It all had to be bunched together. That, you know, draw out the bond and use fund balance to come up with this dollar figure to build a police station.
Yeah.
But
Which,
I mean,
which I'm learning more, like just being on this side of the table and getting a chance to talk to you guys more about the different things. You know, it's eye-opening. I wish more people had this perspective of the town.
They're welcome to come.
I know.
No,
But
they
even,
only like to
like
watch-
sitting in the seat and like watching it is different than actually having like the active, like, you know, discussions that we have, and you know, in-depth
I mean, Dave
reasoning.
Clarkson used to sit
yeah.
there and he'd absorb it all.
Yeah.
He'd raise his hand, tell us, you know, where we were right, where we were wrong, and the more of that is,
So I'm just trying to flush it out, David. Trying to figure it out, and then.
well, don't go it alone if we can help.
Well, yeah, no,
That's all
yeah.
I'm-
Okay, yeah.
That's all
yeah,
I'm trying to get across.
Yep.
Is,
Absolutely.
And like I said, and then mine is, I mean, don't try to reinvent the wheel, because next thing you know, you're going to be April 25th and go, oh, we got to have this on the table next week,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
So
old Peterborough Road layout.
Yeah, waiting to hear back from Bart. Unfortunately, it's been hard to get a hold of. He was out of the office today as well. Just trying to understand exactly what steps we need to put in place to see how fast we can get this done.
Did we find anything in the
It looks
road
pretty-
layout from previous when it was done?
So it sounds very simple, but I'm skeptical that it's as simple as it says. Because basically whatever the old layout was, it makes it sound like it is just very simple to take what was there and just turn it back into a Class 6 road from a discontinued road, based on the same parameters that it was discontinued by. So But that sounds just a little too easy. I don't believe it's that easy. That's why I'm trying to get some guidance on, so we do it right the first time and get it done. But it does seem fairly straightforward, but I just want to confirm that with Bart to make sure there's no gotchas in there, and we can make this happen.
I'll try and go through my notes. We've done it once before on Collins Road, and I know there was the layout to define it, registering that with the clerk. There may have been a public hearing, but by the RSA there was, and actually if I recall, we have the,
Do you know
what's the
what
name of the
year?
Brown Book? Roads, one by
Uh-oh.
Bernie,
I know what you're talking about, I can't
you know.
remember.
Yeah, Collins, what, do you know what?
Collins, 2008.
Okay. Give me something to
Yeah.
research. Okay.
Haven't come across it.
It's sitting right in that shelf probably.
Can I go get it? Is it a big book or?
No,
No.
it's this thick and it's brown. Who's the guy? You know who I'm talking about. He used to work, I think, for the New Hampshire Municipal Association. Now he's a lawyer with a firm, and he writes everything about roads for New Hampshire. Best road to travel, best road.
Hard road to travel.
Hard road to travel, thank you. And that tells you,
Well, it does, but still, I want, again, after reading that, it looks very, very straightforward. I just want to be sure that we don't make an error so that, 5 years down the road, somebody's trying to do something else and realizes that there's a technical flaw in the way we did it.
they'll still find it. There will always be a technical flaw. Don't think you're alleviating.
Well, I'm trying to minimize them, how's that?
You have tax deeded properties listed under old new business.
Well, that's because of our
Okay.
rolling
Okay.
list, but it's a separate item under.
And then the next one is the 2021 budget process, which.
Right, so I just want to confirm that we wanted to start with the smaller budgets first, based on our discussion last week.
Well, I figured, I
don't
just
care
figured
whether
that,
they're small or they're big,
Yeah.
just,
I just figured if,
Okay.
I'm guessing that we will have stuff, if we ask for the small ones, we'll actually have something to look at on the 29th, instead of someone coming in with a 1/3 complete budget with a lot of go back and research.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's what we're trying to avoid.
yeah,
Because there were ones last year, I think, almost up to the night of the budget hearing, we were waiting for clarification on.
yeah.
Mhm.
Do we need a non-public for the tax deed properties, or is that,
We do,
okay,
we do, because there's specific properties I need
Before we go into that, see if we have
Any-
anything.
to,
Yeah.
get ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah, you first, I got a few things.
No,
Small
no, my
ones.
brain's like mush right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
nothing?
Well, I'm sure there is, but I haven't had a chance to like go back through stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have nothing else.
While we're on budgets, this is the New Hampshire retirement system, the schedule.
Mm,
You're not gonna like what
I
I'm about to.
read about that one already.
So, so when we're doing budgets this year, we're gonna have to base it on the old rates till July 1st, then from July 1st for the rest of the calendar year, because we're in a different fiscal year than the state. There's gonna be increases in, well, we don't have fire, we just have police and traditional employees. So the increase for traditional employees is gonna go up 25.87% this year. So right now, we're at 11.17%, which is probably a familiar number to you. As of July 1st, that's gonna jump to 14.06% as the employer contribution of the employee's wage.
So it's gonna go up to 14.06 from 11,
0.17,
and that's for regular employees.
right.
What was the 25 one that you mentioned?
That's the percent of that increase.
Okay.
And that is 25.87% increase from the 11.17 to the 14.06. The police department, we're currently budgeting 28.4%. That is gonna have a 19.3% increase, bringing that to 33.88% as of July 1st. And that carries for, I think, 2 fiscal years, so.
19% increase to how much?
33.88%.
Okay,
So I just want, keep that in the back of your mind.
while that's not in the back of my mind,
Mhm.
and it's right in the forefront, did I read an article correctly that stated by 2030, the towns have to pay 100%?
I don't recall seeing that.
That was something that was in the Union Leader recently regarding Nashua's addressing this current
Yeah,
increase, and that article indicated that by 2030, cities and towns would be responsible for the 100%.
100% of the liability of
Yeah.
the pension.
Yeah, and I'm like,
That seems pretty extreme.
yeah, considering the state was supposed to have been contributing more for the last 15 years, I think it is, and they just whittled their way out of it, or portion thereof. I just didn't know if something had come through from anyone that indicated.
Not that I saw,
Okay.
but they did have a webinar that unfortunately I was not available for last week, with the Municipal Managers Association on New Hampshire retirement. And that's where this information was discussed.
Okay.
So whether they discussed the future liability or not, I don't know.
Well, if you look at this, the way it's going, it wouldn't take long for us to.
Well, I should be retired by then, when 2030 rolls around, right? So.
All right.
Maybe
Any
not.
other? You have anything else on your list?
Just wanted to make you aware that we did shop around on fuel oil prices. We ended up, low bidder on that was Hafner's at $169.9 per gallon. So,
Had you reached out to the previous vendor?
Yep.
And where did those numbers come in?
They came in at $179.9. They were 10 cents a gallon.
And that's our current one, or the one that we had previously?
That's our current one.
Right. So did they reach out to,
Yeah, Mark talked to, I think, a total of 3 vendors. This was the lowest by a significant amount.
I'd like to see what those are before somebody wants to make a motion to accept it, that's fine, but I
can see them all.
yeah.
Okay.
No, just question, does that cover both propane and oil, or is that just?
So Hafner's is already doing our propane.
Okay,
So, and honestly, we use such a small amount of propane that there isn't really enough quantity there to get somebody else's attention, because you have to swap out the tanks and
Right.
everything else.
everything inspected and all that, yeah,
So with oil, it's a little easier to switch vendors,
okay,
so.
alright.
And that's it, that's all I have for that.
Motion to go into non-public are under RSA 91A2C, matters which discussed in public would likely affect adversely the reputation of any person.